had to give their testimony until now.
As we continue to mark this 40th anniversary this week of the U.S.-backed military coup in Chile, it was September 11, 1973. Today, the loved ones of thousands who were killed under General Pinochet's dictatorship continue to seek justice. We turn now to the case of Charles Horman, 31-year-old American freelance journalist and filmmaker who was in Chile during the coup and wrote about the U.S. involvement in overthrowing Allende. Soon afterward, he was abducted by Chilean soldiers, later killed. The story of what happened next is told in the 1982 Oscar-nominated film Missing, which follows his father, Ed Horman, when he goes to Chile amidst the bloodshed of the coup to join his daughter-in-law, who in the film is played by Sissy Spacek, in the search for the son. This is a clip from the film when we see Ed Horman, played by Jack Lemmon, meeting with U.S. officials in Chile as a photo of then-President Richard Nixon hangs on the wall behind them. Horman went to Chile knowing that soldiers had seized Charles, but unaware that he had been shot to death at that point.
I hear you'd like to discuss some political questions. What? You suggested that there might be some kind of American police assistance program down here? I'd like you to know that nothing of that sort exists in this country.
Mr. Ambassador, I'm not interested in the politics of it. I brought it up only because I want you to use every resource at your command.
I repeat, Mr. Horman, no such operation exists.
I got the clearance for those hospitals you wanted to visit.
What about the National Stadium?
I'm trying, but it's kind of touchy.
Handle it.
What do you mean it's touchy? Look, gentlemen, I know these are bad times. It's not fun for you people. It's certainly not fun for Beth or me or Charles. I know you're doing your best. I have to believe that. That's our only hope. But you have all the machinery on your side. Don't you see? You have all the connections. I'm a middle-aged businessman from New York City. I don't speak one word of Spanish. Here I am. My son may have been shot. Maybe he was tortured. Maybe he was, oh, Lord, beaten so badly that they're keeping him until he's well enough to be released. I don't know. I don't care. Oh, really, I don't care. Because what is done is done. I just want you to reach those people and tell them I will take Charles back in any condition. I'm not going to make a stink. I'm not going to go to the newspapers. You make out any kind of a release form, I will sign it. I will absolve anyone, everyone, of everything. I just want my boy back. He's the only child I have, sir.
That's a clip from the 1982 film Missing, about the struggle to discover what happened to journalist Charlie Horman during the 1973 Chilean coup. Jack Lemmon plays Horman's father, Ed Horman. Well, today we're joined by Charlie Horman's widow, Joyce Horman. She filed a criminal suit against Pinochet for his role in her husband's death and established the Charles Horman Truth Project to support ongoing investigations into the human rights violations during Pinochet's regime. And it's her foundation that has gathered people from around the world involved in trying to bring Augusto Pinochet to justice, from Chile to London, where he was arrested, to finding the killers of the many people. Thousands of Chileans died under the 17-year reign of Augusto Pinochet. And some of those who've been fighting for justice are gathering tonight for an event to remember what took place 40 years ago. Joyce Horman, welcome to Democracy Now!
Thank you.
Missing certainly made your husband famous throughout the United States, that film by Costa Gavras, but also showed that Charlie, though was an American, it was thousands of Chileans who were killed in those years under Pinochet. Talk about the day that your husband was taken. You both were living in Santiago?
We were living in Santiago, and he had just managed to get back from Viña del Mar, where he had taken a friend of ours from New York right before the coup and was trapped there for 5 days. So he returned on Sunday, and then Monday He was going to go and find out about airplane tickets downtown. The curfew had been lifted during the day, so he and our friend Terry went down to the center of Santiago to look for tickets or a way out.
What did he see where he was?
Where he was? Well, he saw American battleships off the shore. He saw the launch of the coup in Viña del Mar. They experienced that all the roads had been blocked and the trains had been stopped that night, Monday night before the coup, which is why he knew that was happening. But he also met in the hotel that they stayed U.S. military people who were taking quite a large credit for the coup and were very excited about the success. And my husband, the journalist, knew that that was not something that anybody in the United States knew about. So he was aware that it was incredible information at that point.
And so he comes back to Santiago, to the capital of Chile. You see each other on the morning of the coup.
Yes, I guess I have to start back. He was brought back to Santiago, to the search and destroy mission that was Santiago at that time, by the head of the U.S. military group, who had come through blockades to get to Viña del Mar to see his military people in Viña. And then, because they had asked him if he would give a lift to Charles and Terry back to Santiago. His name is Captain Ray Davis, and he is an extraordinary figure in our story, and the extradition request for him was issued, was approved by the Chilean Supreme Court recently. But let me go back. So he's the one who went, again, drove through all the roadblocks because he had all of the connections with the Pinochet forces, and brought them back to Santiago, dropped them in Santiago on Saturday. They came home on Sunday. I'm sorry, I think I lost the line of your original question.
What you were doing that day, when you last saw him, and then how he was taken, how you learned he was taken.
Okay. We said goodbye as I was leaving to check on some other friends to be sure that they were okay, because there was very little communication for a week. And he was taking our friend Terry downtown to try and get a passage out. I did not get back that night because of the curfew. The buses stopped running, and as the movie Missing portrays, I was in a stairwell for the night. When I got back to the house the next morning, I found the house completely ransacked, and my neighbors told me to go elsewhere because the police or the military people that had taken my husband would probably come back. Only they didn't say they'd taken my husband. They just said they'd been there and ransacked the place, so I wasn't sure that my husband had gotten back that night. I guess it was the next day, neighbors from our old neighborhood got a call from the military intelligence saying, do you know an extremist gringo with a beard? And it terrified our neighbors, but it told us that the military actually had Charles. And the next opportunity I had, I went to the consulate and the embassy, actually, to announce that he'd been taken and that I wanted their help to find him and get him out. They were more interested in what had been taken from the house, the ransacked house. But that was the first contact I had with the U.S. officials at that point.
I want to jump forward a little bit and go back to the film Missing. And this is where we see, well, your character is called Beth in the film. That's what you chose. You weren't sure if this was going to be a film you wanted to be any part of.
Exactly.
And you are played by Sissy Spacek to this day, who's you are tied to and is very close to this story. She and Jack Lemmon, who plays your father-in-law, Charlie's father, Ed, go to the stadium where they're allowed to get on the loudspeaker and ask if Charlie's there. Thousands of sympathizers of the ousted socialist president Salvador Allende were rounded up and taken to the stadium in the days following September 11th, 1973, the coup.
Charlie? This is Beth. I'm here with your dad, Charlie, and the American consul. So if you can hear me, please come outside and take it out.
Charles Horman, this is your father. Edmund. I'm here in the hope that you can hear me. Charles, do you remember when we took that trip together across country from L.A. to New York? Just the two of us.
A clip from the 1982 Costa Gavras film Missing, about Charlie Horman, one of thousands of people as Augusto Pinochet came to power and over the 17 years of his reign, who went missing and were killed. This is Democracy Now! We'll continue this discussion.